All right, hello everyone. Thanks for hopping in. We're gonna get started here today with our boot camp. Thanks so much for coming. Okay, so first thing we're gonna have going for us is gonna be our warm-up, which is just gonna be a general mobility that we're doing with our hamstring sweeps, a kneeling Cossack squat, and then some full body twists and rotations, get the blood flowing and moving a little bit. Then we're gonna hop into our marches, zombie kicks, lateral steps, squatting lateral steps, and then having our prone overhead press, snow angels, push-ups, leg raises, and planks. So doing a little bit of some movement through the lower body and then getting some strength through the upper body as well. We're going to go twice through that circuit and then finish with some stretching. So without any further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started with our hamstring sweep. So we're going to bring one foot forward, placing the heel of our foot on the ground, raising the toes up towards us, reaching back behind the hips. We're going to sweep the hands down and stand up to tall. Coming back down, switching our feet every time that we come down. Getting a nice long sweep all the way through the hips, the heels, and back the leg. And standing back tall. Coming down and standing back up, sweeping all the way through. All right. Next up, we're going to do our Cossack squat, kneeling. So we're going to come down on one knee. From here, we're going to open up our knee and our foot pointed out 90 degrees. And we're just going to lunge out to the side, dropping our hips down towards the ankles, coming back up. You want to try and keep your shoulders and your hip square with the camera here. So I'm not turning into it like this, but keeping my chest and my hips square out in front like I would be doing a lunge forward like this, but we're just bringing our leg out to the side. Moving back and forth. Getting a nice even pace through the hips here. Okay, bringing our knee down and switching, getting our other foot out to the side and lunging out, stretching deep into those hips, opening up any tight muscles we feel there. Stretching those hips down towards the heel. Couple more on this side. And standing up to our feet. Getting our feet spread a little bit wider than hip width. We're going to bring our arms out to the side and rotate around. Getting big. Rotating twists, spinning back and forth, getting those hands all the way across the chest, touching the opposite shoulder, picking up that back foot as we twist around, getting some nice twists through the hips and the lower back, twisting through that spine, getting nice and mobile. Flushing the body, loosening up our pecs. Very good. All right. Heading into our workout circuit, we are going to start with our marches. So, getting our feet hip width apart, standing nice and tall, shoulders over hips, hips over ankles. We're going to drive our knees up in our marching pattern, trying to bring our feet straight back down to the same spot as started. Tapping back and forth. Getting those knees up quickly. Sucking that belly button to spine. Chest nice and tall. Keeping our shoulders over hips. Hips over ankles. Still tapping back and forth. Getting those feet a little quicker now. Driving up, nice and fast. Couple more seconds. Still got some time on the clock. And rest. Good. Next up, we've got our zombie kicks. So, same position, standing nice and tall, shoulder over hips, hips over ankle. We're gonna kick our feet straight out. Showing the camera the bottom of the shoe. Getting our toes touched by our opposite hand. Just a slight rotation. Tapping back and forth as we get those feet up. Nice even pace. Kicking those toes up towards the ceiling. Keeping those legs straight, extending out. Trying to keep our balance. Couple more seconds. And rest. Good. Next up, we have our squatting lateral steps. So getting some space onto our side. We're gonna hop down into a squat and step out to the side. Keeping our hips nice and level. We're gonna move back and forth from side to side. Keeping the weight over the middle of the foot. Not creeping too much up onto our toes. Or sitting back into our heels. Keeping our hips nice and low. We're not stepping up with each step, but staying nice and low in that squat position. Moving back and forth between our space here, almost done. And rest. Good. Now we're going to head down to the ground. We've got our prone overhead press. So laying flat onto the ground. We're going to bring our hands next to the shoulders. Picking the shoulders up, or picking our hands up off the ground. We're going to extend the hands out overhead and back down. Lowering down again, picking those hands up and extending out. Trying to squeeze that egg or orange in the middle of our back as we pinch those shoulder blades together. The whole time we're extending up and out overhead. Nice, even pace, keeping those hands nice and level throughout the whole press. Few more. And done. Good. Next up, we've got our snow angel. So we're going to stay in this prone position. We're going to start with our hands out in front. And here we're just going to pick the hands up, sweep all the way out in a big breaststroke motion. Bring the hands behind the small of the back and come back in a circle, keeping those hands extended out forward. Rotating around nice and even. Big sweeping, broad stroking motions. Back and forth. A couple of times through. A few more times, getting those shoulders nice and worked. Rotating those hands over as we come around. and done. Good. Next up, we're going to do our kneeling eccentric push-ups. So, getting our knees down, we're going to bring our hands down to the ground here, starting in a quadruped position. Raising the hands over the chest. We're going to lower our chest down to the ground, keeping our elbows folded towards the rib cage. Nice and slow down and explosive up. So we want to try and get a 4 count on our way down and then explode up nice and quick. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and explode through the press. Keeping that stability nice and even between both hands as we lower down and drive through. Couple more. And done. Good. Next up, we're going to do our single leg raises. So, flipping over onto our backs, we're going to extend both feet out, getting our hands underneath the hips. We're going to pull the lower backs down to the ground, suck our belly button to spine, and one leg at a time, we're going to bring a leg up and back down. Keeping our heels off the ground the whole time, alternating our legs, kicking up and back down. Nice, even pace, in control, pulling that lower back into the floor, sucking the belly button to spine as we go back and forth between our feet here. Few more. Timer's still going. Nice and even. If you're having trouble keeping that leg straight, just go ahead and bend that knee, go into a single leg knee tuck. Bring that knee to chest. Almost there. And rest. Very good. All right. Next up, we're going to finish out our first circuit with a plank. So going into our plank position, we're going to bring our elbows down to the ground. Extending the feet back, we're going to pop up onto our toes and our elbows. Holding our plank here, nice and tall, sucking our belly button to the spine, pressing the ground away through the toes and the elbows, and keeping our shoulders level with the hips. Taking deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Really balancing through here, connecting and engaging from our shoulders through to our toes. Holding, sucking that belly button to spine. And lowering down. Good. Starting back at the top, we're going to head into our marches here. So, getting our feet about hip width apart. We're going to drive our knees up. Marching. Straight up, tapping those feet right up off the ground, exploding those knees up towards the chest. Trying to bring our feet straight back down to where we started. Driving back and forth. Nice, even pace. Couple more seconds here, keep it up. and rest. Good. Next up, we're going into our zombie kick. So still standing nice and tall, keeping our hips, feet about hip width apart, shoulders over hips, hips over ankles. We're kicking our feet straight out. Trying to get those toes up as high as we can. Trying to get our other hand to cross over. Tap our big toe on that foot. Keeping our torso nice and tall. Sucking belly button to spine. Really trying to kick those heels up. Back and forth. Nice even pace. Moving nice and even. Kicking those feet up. And relaxing. Good. Next up, we have our lateral squatting steps. So getting our feet hip width apart here. We're going to pop down into our squat and step out to the side, keeping our hips nice and low, weight over the middle of the foot, keeping that belly button sucked in the spine, torso nice and tall, sliding back and forth between two sides here. Really sitting into those hips, getting them nice and low. Finding an even pace, stepping back and forth. A few more seconds. Tapping, nice and even, back and forth. Almost there. And rest. Very good. All right, next up, we're going down to the ground. We've got our prone overhead press. So, laying down onto our chest and our stomach. We're going to extend, We're going to start with the hands down by the shoulders. Popping the chest up. We're going to extend the hands out overhead and come back down, pointing those elbows towards the toes. Keeping that orange squeeze in the middle of our back the whole time, pinching the shoulder blades together. Keeping them away from our ears as we extend up. We're not letting those shoulders creep up the neck, but we're pulling them down and back, even as we extend our hands out front overhead. Keeping our hands nice and level, like they're sliding over a frozen surface of a lake. Nice and flat and smooth motion through the extension there. And rest. Very good. Next up, we're going into our snow angels. So hands out in front of us. We're going to pop our hands and chest up. Give a big, broad breaststroke. Bringing our hands behind the small of the back. Squeezing that orange behind the middle of our back the whole time. And coming back and forth. Extending the hands out, breaststroking through. Bringing the hands around. Nice, broad strokes. Finishing through here. Almost done. Couple more of these. Really getting a good shoulder burn. And rest. Good. Next up, we have our eccentric push-ups. So, getting the hands slightly outside of the chest, chest over our hand placement, directly below the shoulder. We're going to lower our chest down nice and slow to the ground and press away, nice and explosive, getting that 4 count down as we lower and back up. 1, 2, 3, 4, and exploding up. Nice, even pace. Lowering down to the ground. And exploding through. Couple more. And last one, lowering down nice and slow. And exploding up. Very good. All right. Last little bit here, we're going to do our single leg raises. So laying down onto our backs, extending the feet out. We're going to get our hands underneath the hips and one leg at a time. As we pull that lower back down to the ground, sucking that belly button in one leg at a time, coming up and lowering back down. Keeping both heels off the ground the whole time. Getting a nice individual kick up towards the ceiling. Pulling that lower back into the ground. Sucking belly button to spine. Back and forth, nice and even work here. Finding that pace and working through it. Nice, even, almost there. Couple more seconds. And rest. Very good. Those are definitely tough. I commend you guys if you could stay with the whole set. All right, last exercise here. We're going into our plank. So forearms down to the ground. We're going to extend our feet back and pop up onto our elbows and our toes, bringing the hips up, nice and level. We're getting our shoulders and our hips level together, sucking that belly button into the spine, driving through our shoulders and our toes. Nice and balanced here. And good connection all the way from toes through the shoulders. Really feeling that stability, getting those hips nice and level. Few more seconds here. And down. Very good. Nice job, everybody. We're going to head into our cool down now here. First thing we're going to do is just a seated forward fold. So we're going to get our feet out extended in front. Actually, we're going to do this one leg at a time. So we're going to bring one foot into our hip here, bending the knee and bringing our ankle in towards our groin. From here, we're going to extend one hand out down towards the shin, maybe grabbing underneath the ankle, or if we can get all the way to that toe, grabbing the toe, grabbing the foot, and reaching down. Lowering our chest towards the knee, stretching into the hamstrings there. Maybe a little bit in the calf, we can get those toes bent back towards the knee. And relaxing out, switching sides, bringing our other foot into our hip and reaching out. Sliding that hand down the shin, maybe tucking underneath the ankle or reaching out all the way, grabbing the foot. Deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. And relaxing out of that stretch there. We're going to bring both ankles in now. So bringing our feet together, scooching our ankles in. We're going to do a butterfly stretch. So I like to grab my heel or grab my ankles with my hands and allow my elbows to kind of press the knee down as I'm lowering my chest down towards the feet, stretching in through the hips and the lower back there. Taking deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. And relaxing out, stretch. All right. Thank you guys so much for hopping in today. That's going to conclude our session. I appreciate stopping by. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to check out all of our other classes on SharePoint. And we have a ton of recorded sessions on our YouTube channel, Exos at Autodesk. Go ahead and check those out if you got some spare time, some free time. We're also hosting our movement snack in our Centerville office for you guys to come by. It's going to be a little bit of a movement class, movement session paired with some tasty treats from the A Cafe. So don't forget to stop by. That will be April 28th at 11:30. Go ahead and check it out. Hope to see you guys there.
Thank you.